All right, ladies and gentlemen, I have quite the video for you all today. When success makes the devs lazy. And we all know how goddamn lazy the HSR devs are after experiencing, honestly, 2.6 all the way to 3.0. Yeah, they're not even trying anymore. A brutally honest review of Honkai Star Rail. And one of the reasons why I wanted to watch this was, well, Musan Caffeine doesn't even have 5,000 subscribers, and this vid has basically been popping off, for a channel like this. And so I'm assuming it has to be good. So let's go ahead, let's give it a listen. We all know how we feel about HSR at this point and their storytelling, or the white screen and black text, and the black screen and white text, and the black screen with white and red text. And let's get right on into it.
Hi, welcome back. Honkai Star Rail content had a pretty sizable downfall ever since Castorius' global passive.
True.
So many content creators quit the game. There was lots of drama with a certain CC.
Oh, we're going there, aren't we? Oh boy. Oh boy. Hey, in the first 10 seconds, we're already going there. Well, we already know how we feel about this situation. We say H word and move on.
My channel started dying. Star Rail became stupider and greedier than ever, introducing a go to warp screen the moment you log into the game, which means they're desperate, and things could go either way. I'm really looking forward to Sensor Tower's April report. But either way, today, I wanted to make a
So when it comes to Sensor Tower's April report, it's going to be very good for HSR. It is going to be insanely, incredibly good for HSR. Because the thing is, people are going to spend on this unit. They're going to spend a ridiculous amount of money, and they're going to spend a fuck ton on the spending event. I wouldn't view this like Kuro, or sorry, not Kuro. My apologies. I wouldn't view Hoyo putting in all of these super predatory or like super pay-to-win spending events into the game as like something that's like a sign of it dying or not doing well. I think it is a sign that the game hasn't been doing particularly well in recent months, but with all of this stuff that they've never done before in the game, all these spending events, things like the relic rerollers or the relic substat selectors, those are things that they've only recently added. In patch 3.0, they've added all of these like pay-to-win mechanics into the game. You can buy that shit in the shop, and you get that shit from the spending event. And so really, it's just like a play to maximize the revenue. And it's been something that I feel like they've been planning since 2.6 and the garbage banana patch, the terrible reception to it, 2.7's lazy story patch, and the terrible reception to it, and pretty much the entire disaster that was Amphorius. And the fact that those devs had to put out like a special report saying that, oh, we made the story dog shit, we're gonna let you like skip half the shit in the story, we're buffing all the older units. They literally pulled out all the guns. Literally, they're pushing the envelope in every single way possible to increase spending.
Today, I wanted to make a video about my own honest review for Honkai Star Rail. Now honestly, I've been pretty down ever since quitting this game, not only because I don't really have a main game to make videos on anymore, but also because
Play Wuthering Waves.
I lost what used to be a genuinely great game
Play Wuthering Waves, it's still a great game.
that I had a lot of fun with. I thought
Play Wuthering Waves, you'll have fun with it.
after quitting this game I was due an honest review of everything the game has to offer. And yes, even though I did say I wouldn't make any more videos on it, but still, I have a lot of things I want to say about this game, and I want to keep this as unbiased as possible, and be as genuine and honest as possible. Obviously, I'm very dissatisfied and disappointed with the game, so there may be a little extra spice in my words, but keep in mind that in the end, before I quit, I genuinely just wanted the game to be better, so.
And that's the thing that I feel like people don't realize. Everybody who has all of this hate towards Honkai Star Rail, everyone that's making all of these negative videos about Honkai Star Rail, they're only doing it because they saw what the game used to be. They saw that Honkai Star Rail, and they experienced when Honkai Star Rail was the best gacha game on the market. Honkai Star Rail used to be the #1 gacha game that had great story, great storytelling, unique characters, good balance. Everyone felt good, everyone felt usable, and then after patch 2.1, these devs, they decided, because they wanted to sell Acheron and all of these characters so badly, they decided to just fuck all of the work that they've done, all the effort that they put into the game to make power creep, big damage numbers, and the invalidation of every other character released before them a way to get it done. And I'm just gonna be real here. I don't even know why. The game was already making a shit ton of money prior to Acheron's release. The game was already doing so good, had amazing public perception and PR, and they just threw it all away to like just turn into every other turn-based game ridden with power creep, and they had the most power creep out of pretty much any turn-based game that's ever hit the market. And the biggest problem with it, at least in my opinion, is how well they were able to control power creep in Genshin Impact. For over like 4 years, Genshin Impact felt relatively balanced. And it's just, when you look at HSR's progression of like the strength of its roster compared to Genshin, it's just so confusing how they managed to ruin it all so quickly.
In this video, let's take a look at everything Star Rail has to offer from early game to end game, character and story design, player maintenance, and developer handling.
Okay.
Before we start though, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more content like this in the future, and join the Express Friend Discord server for a fun and lovely community.
We'll do that. The video's good. The video's been pretty good so far. I've been liking it.
Now let's get on to it. First, I want to talk about character visual design and kit design. Then I want to talk about early game experience, then mid-game experience and player maintenance. Then I want to talk about the end-game experience and how the developers handled their game.
Okay,
So to start
good
with the
topics.
first topic, I think Star Rail definitely has the best looking characters out of all mainstream gacha games right now. Wuthering Waves has a very strong case, especially with Cantorella's release. Holy fuck. But Star Rail's character design is absolutely amazing.
I'm surprised this guy ranks ZZZ so low. I will be honest though, when it comes to character design, I could see why ZZZ is ranked a little bit lower. However, when it comes to like character models and animation quality, I would say ZZZ is definitely near the top. But he's not even talking about models, he's talking about character design. So those are like two different things. Because you can take all these designs that we're seeing over here and give them better models, but the design won't change.
On an unrelated note though, I think Enfield may make even better looking characters, but Enfield is still 4 months away, so... Star Rail has created really beautiful characters, really cute characters, muscular characters. The only character I would call genuinely just ugly and badly designed is Gacha, because look at this fucking guy.
They're not wrong, but unfortunately, if you want to play Acheron, who you're seeing on the screen, you have to pull him now. Otherwise, enjoy your 7-cycle clear at E0. Enjoy your 7-cycle E0 Acheron clear if you don't have Jiao Cho.
Personally see no flaw in Honkai Star Rail's visual character design, or just visuals in general. I would play any game that looks anything like Honkai Star Rail, and I would probably enjoy it a lot. Although visual character design is where they excel, character kit design is where they fail horribly. Character kits at the start were fine, even though some like Jing Yuan had very stupid weaknesses, like getting CC'd and doing all damage, but for the most part, early kits were fine. Although later on, it became apparent that some were very flawed. The more HP inflation became a problem, and the more single target damage was phased out, Zila couldn't proc her resurgence as much as she could before, and her damage was more than half because of that. Blade's very low multipliers and low amount of FUAs and proper support units became a problem, the more power creep became a problem.
And I've got just the clip that I feel like really encapsulates this entire thing for me. I believe I do have it bookmarked because it was just this funny. Here we go. Right here, ladies and gentlemen. I gave Blade 500% critical damage. And this clip is really going to blow the socks right off of your fucking body. I guarantee it. You're going to be so impressed by what you're seeing here. Absolute cinema. Absolute cinema. I E2 this character, by the way. Hey, he's not in the shop anymore. You can now get him from losing a 50-50. You can now get this premium wind destruction DPS from losing a 50-50. I hope you're excited for it, ladies and gentlemen. Get ready. We got everything. Check it out. 560% critical damage. Are y'all ready? So yeah, that's that.
And so did Jingliu's downtime and Danhangayel's insane skill point expenditure. Never mind their very low multipliers compared to new characters. With every new character, they messed up the balance of their game more and more. The first was Acheron not only having much higher multipliers than anyone before her, but also for whatever reason gave herself 20% all-type resistance shred, which means her damage was way too high and way miles above the rest for no reason.
Absolutely.
Then Super Bright came along as well as Firefly with her.
These two characters ruined the game. Firefly and Acheron, straight up, the two of them actually like joined hands together to go ruin the fucking game. Because they raised the damage ceiling so absurdly high that the MOC became a literal joke. The MOC was a literal fucking joke. If you had these two characters with their best in slot teams in, you didn't even have to try for like 0 cycle clears. And following that, HP went through the roof, and now none of the older units are playable. You could only clear the MOC, basically, if you had these units.
Free fire implant for no f***ing reason, then Phase Xiao with her stupidly high multipliers and also an ability to reduce weaknesses for no reason. You get the point with every new character, especially the latest ones like Herda, Aglaia, Maide, and Castries, even support units like Tribi. It became apparent that they don't know how to properly make character kits without breaking their game's rules. I've talked about this before. The game has a set list of rules when it comes to the gameplay, which are the weakness types and path systems, and every new character broke something and had a kit that is way too bloated with way too many self-buffs, needless team buffs, or resistance penetration and weakness implants. They also made some really terrible kit design choices.
A lot of people are saying that weakness implants were something that were really bad for the game. A lot of people said the game started going downhill after Silverwolf. I'm gonna be real. I don't think Silverwolf was that bad for the game because the only thing Silverwolf has in her kit is the weakness implant. She's absolutely fucking useless and a worse version of a 4-star unit called Pella in pretty much every single way. And so you could say that Silverwolf's weakness implant was what like killed the game or started killing it. I think that Silverwolf's weakness implant is balanced by the fact that she's just a fucking useless unit outside of it. Actually doesn't do anything. Just straight up complete trash.
They also made some really terrible kit design choices with Aglaia and Maide, giving them massive flaws in their kits that can only be fixed with purchasing their Eidolons, like Aglaia's energy issue and Maide's auto attack.
Isn't Maide's Eidolons even fix his auto attack issue? Do you regain the ability to control him if you pull his Eidolons? I thought his E6 just made him auto enter like auto battle mode right off the rip. Like his E6 turns on auto battle at the start of the battle. E1 makes his attack AoE. Oh, okay, so it deals with the targeting issue. E1 makes his attack AoE, and so it deals with the auto battle issue of him randomly attacking shit and hitting the wrong target. Oh, okay, okay.
Let's not forget Castries' global passive and the implication that she has for the future, but I spoke about this so much that I really don't want to speak about it anymore.
True.
While the fun factor of their kit design is immaculate, each character being pretty different from the others, their kits are way too broken and unbalanced, and they ruin the game more and more with every new character, either refusing to make a character without power creep or simply not knowing how to properly sell one if they are not stronger than every character before them.
True.
This is something that makes me very heated, and a topic that I will get very angry while discussing, and it's incredibly disappointing, so let's just move on. The next thing I want to talk about is something pretty positive, actually. The first time I played Star Rail, I was still a little dumb Genshin player who thought Star Rail was just going to be a cheap copy of Honkai 3rd in Genshin, which was very stupid of me because we all know what Genshin is like these days, and the first time I played Star Rail, I played it for probably 18 hours straight because I think it genuinely has the best player experience in the early game. I still imagine going back and playing on a new account, and it still seems fun to me when I imagine it.
I think most people can say the same exact thing. I grinded the fuck out of this game when it launched. I think most people grinded the fuck out of this game when it launched. Because you had story all the way up to, like, the Zhanzhou Luofu. You had, like, all of, like, Herda Space Station. You had all of Belobog. And even, like, part of Zhanzhou Luofu in 1.0. It was insane how much you could play this game on release. And they had, like, the MOC and all of that ready to go, too. Multiple boss battles, multiple things. Star Rail's 1.1 in comparison was really fucking bad. Too. Yeah, have you guys played? Yeah, you guys remember Honkai Star Rail 1.1? Yeah, that was some dog ass. That was a dog ass patch. Yeah, it literally had nothing in it. I think it just had the new characters and like nothing else. I quit over 1.1. Fair, honestly, we probably all should have quit after 1.1. Yeah, Star Rail 1.0, it should have just been like a retail game. Just like a retail game that you buy for like 60 bucks at the store, and then the game just ends after you get to the Zhanzhou Luofu, and then they release a sequel. Yeah, it probably would have been one of the best games.
It's incredibly nostalgic looking back on it, and I really wish I still felt this way about Star Rail, and I'm really disappointed with the way they ruined the game for me. So why is Star Rail's early game experience so damn good? The first thing you have to mention is how good the Belobog story is. It's short and sweet, simple and straight to the point. It does not have the weaknesses of any of the other stories, it does not have any pacing issues like the Shanzhou, and it is not more than like 20 hours long like Penacony and Amphoius.
Old Penacony Trailblaze quest. 20 hours, 37 seconds. Full Amphorius 3.2 quest, 8 hours and 5 seconds. Full Amphorius 3.0 quest, 7 hours and 44 seconds. Full Amphorius 3.1 quest, 6... Wait. Amphorius up until 3.2 is longer than Penacony? They just don't care anymore. These devs just don't care about you anymore. They're like, they now have their big focus of this game is to literally just get you playing for as long as possible. As long as humanly possible. Holy fucking shit. It's longer than Penacony already. Oh, fuck me.
It is definitely Star Rail's best story. Players like to call Penacony better than Belobog, but I believe that is still because we were in a honeymoon phase for the game during Penacony.
And we were super excited about characters like Acheron and Firefly. It's like the opposite of rose-tinted glasses. We look back on it and we were like, damn, we actually were getting abused this entire time. We liked it. We liked it in the moment, but in retrospect, we were just getting abused the entire time.
And didn't realize the several misgivings of the story, like the endless amount of yap, as well as characters like Firefly and Acheron releasing, which were super hype, so players were blind to all the negatives during Penacony. Enough about Penacony though, this is about the early game experience. Belobog being so damn good and honestly being one of the best stories I've ever experienced in a gacha game, let alone gaming in general. The early exploration in Belobog was also very simple yet very effective. I think it perfectly fit a game like Honkai Star Rail, honestly unlike all the exploration I've seen in Amphorius. What I mean by this is that Star Rail is way more combat focused.
What is this shit? What the fuck even is this? Wait, I thought this was a different game. I thought it was showing a random indie game that he wanted to, like, draw comparisons to. This is Honkai Star Rail? Fuck me.
Than exploration focused. So focusing on the exploration with complex puzzles that force you to spend time on them instead of the combat isn't something the game should be doing. Belobog's puzzles were very simple and straightforward, there's no way to be confused.
It was just so much better. Like, I just miss, like, basic shit like this. I miss, like, basic shit like this one. You just, come on, it just, like, unlock a different area of the map, and it's just, you see the map moving and stuff. Man. I bet this probably took too many development resources to manage, though. Yeah, it's like, fuck it. We gotta make, like, the map, like, interlinked and shit. Fuck that. Fuck that.
And there's always a fight. In Amphorius, and even in Penacony, I think that puzzles got way too complicated. While this is definitely not a skill issue because I could still solve all of them, it definitely took a lot more time for the same amount of reward. I think the Shanjo also had way better puzzles and its early experience is great, but we'll talk about it in a bit. I also think the formidable foes in Herta Space Station and Belobog, and yes, even the early ones in the Shanjo, are also much more fun than the ones in Amphorius because they are an actual challenge. Of course, this is because you are much stronger in Amphorius and Penacony than you are in the Space Station and Belobog.
True.
However, since the game was still new, the enemies were unique and each foe was different enough from the others to make it seem challenging.
And I think that's one thing that the devs really need to recognize, is that when you just employ the same sort of, like, combat mechanics with those formidable foes, but you're putting them into the new map, you have to factor in that you have had players that have been playing the fucking game, right, for, like, a year, and they have, like, level 80 characters with, like, cracked relics and, like, cracked substats and everything. And then when you go ahead and you put in the same exact sort of fights, you know they're going to be easier and the experience isn't the same. And exploring the map and doing all this combat literally just becomes you walking around, hitting auto, and then when the combat starts, you open up, like, a YouTube video or an anime on the side, or a TV show on the side. You wait for the combat to play out, then you come back, and then just move to the next enemy. They have to realize that at this point, and think of some way to get past it. Like, nobody is paying attention to the combat. Nobody.
Formidable foes should be formidable, and right now you can just do whatever you want to beat them. Now, I do really
Oh, that's why they released Acheron, so she can just delete all the enemies. You're right.
play Amphorius a lot, honestly, but I don't even recall fighting a single formidable foe. This could either be because there are actually none, which is probably not the case and I hope it isn't, or because any of the formidable foes I fought were absolutely not formidable. However, I remember so many of the early formidable foes I fought in the early stages of the game. I loved every part of it. You also can't talk about the early game experience without talking about the absolutely wonderful gameplay the early simulated universe had. Now, I will talk about
I'm gonna be honest with you. The simulated universe used to be, like, I remember when the simulated universe was, like, awesome and fun and super replayable. Now, ever since, like, Golden Gears and, like, whatever the fuck it was, oh my eyes, like, start rolling back inside of my head at the thought of playing the SU. Like, having to, like, clear with, like, all these 20 different paths and then, like, get all the buffs in them and then get all the achievements. I stopped playing the SU. I stopped. Like, I never finished Golden Gears. I never finished Swarm Disaster. None of them are done. They're all at 10%. Unless I've been playing them at night. Yeah, because I do that all the time. I'm going to have to go talk with myself later to see if I've been playing Simulated Universe at night.
Ornaments and relics later, but for now, I think we can all agree how ornament farming was in the early Simulated Universe, and the fixes they made for it in the Divergent Universe were really good. But let's ignore that for a second, because the gameplay experience in the Divergent Universe, in my opinion, is way worse and way less fun than the world system in the old Simulated Universe. As soon as they ditched the world system, the Simulated Universe became way less fun and way more of a chore. They completely took out the fun roguelike mode and made it only for farming ornaments, which, like I will talk about later, I think is a very not fun system. The early Simulated Universe had a perfect system, each world having different levels and rewards for each level that felt like they were significant. Every time you went from one level to the next, it felt like you were progressing more and more. And while that inevitably slows down in a gacha game once you reach max level, how well they did it in Star Rail is absolutely commendable. I loved every part of the early Simulated Universe, and I really hate how they ditched it for the DU. The Swarm Disaster and Golden Gears are in the same boat as this. As soon as they ditched modes like those for the DU and whatever the fuck Unknowable Domain was, it got a lot worse, but they're not really early games, so we'll talk about those later. Finally, the rewards you get early game are plentiful. You get lots of jades and a lot of Star Rail passes.
I'm not gonna lie. When I'm in the Divergent Universe, I just go in and I just pick random fucking shit. I don't even, like, care what I'm doing, what sort of strategy I'm employing. I'm just literally getting all of the fucking little buffs I can to activate the bonuses. That's what I mean by, like, my eyes are rolling in the back of my head, because I don't care about... I'm not even thinking as I'm playing the fucking game mode.
You can reroll accounts and get a free 5-star in every rerolled account in 30 minutes to an hour, as soon as you finish the space station quest. There's an insane amount of jades and passes to collect that help you reach the 50 pity in the starter banner, so in conclusion, the early game experience in Honkai Star Rail is absolutely great. It's one of the best, if not the best, in a gacha game that I've ever seen.
True.
As I said, I played it for nearly 18 hours straight, only stopping to go to sleep for a few hours after I pulled an all-nighter playing it. I loved every second of it, and I would pay good money to see Star Rail be as good as it was back then.
That's never gonna happen. That's never gonna happen. I think 1.0 cost too much money. 1.0's production value was, like, too high, and that's why they haven't really had, like, cutscenes or, like, flow, really just, like, world design that's even been similar ever since.
I want to talk about mid-game and player maintenance. If you don't get what I mean by player maintenance, it's basically what you, the player, have to do in order to progress through the game. I want to discuss events including the Simulated Universe expansions, how character progression feels, and the bane of my f***ing existence and yours, also known as the test of luck out of Satan's anus, also known as what probably caused Tectone to go bald, relics. First off though, events when Star Rail came out were absolutely great. The museum event wasn't the best, but still had a lot of character cameos, which was pretty fun. The Pokemon event was a community favorite, the side events were fun, having a lot of combat and a lot of player input. But with each update, the events became worse and worse.
True.
We used to have 2 to 3 events every single update, but now we are lucky for the main event to even have any content at all. The 3.0 main event was barely 20 minutes of content, with the side event being pure fiction with extra buffs.
But you have an 8-hour story. But the story's 8 hours, so you don't need the content. Duh, dummy. You don't need event content. You have an 8-hour fucking story.
The 3.1 event was almost completely AFK, and the 3.2 events look like ass.
Yeah, no, this is an event for the devs. What are you talking about? This isn't an event for the players. This is an event for the fucking devs, brother man. Get it straight. Don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted, homie.
I absolutely loved what they did with the events before, especially with the March event because she's my favorite character, even though its rebirth system was a really bad choice for the event overall, but other than that, events like the War Dance and the others we already mentioned before were great.
I'm pretty sure them giving March 7th a second hunt form was basically them just admitting, yeah, her preservation form is completely fucking useless. Her preservation form might as well just not exist with how absolutely dog shit garbage it is.
There's been a huge drop in quality of events and it's really disappointing. This is also the same for the Simulated Universe events. A lot of people don't like the Swarm Disaster and Golden Gears because they take a long time to complete even one level up. However, I think that's where the fun lies. I'm the type of person to want to sink hours into gameplay, and the gameplay in both Swarm Disaster and Golden Gears was really damn good. Swarm Disaster was already a great canvas, but Golden Gears went and improved a whole lot upon it.
Honestly, when the gameplay basically just resulted in me starting the fight using my techniques and then pressing auto and then waiting for the game mode to finish, and all that Golden Gears and Swarm Disaster did was make the fights take longer because the enemies have more HP. It literally just became like a literal time sink where I go in, I pick buffs, and then I press auto. And I just do that over and over and over again. I'm gonna be real. Like, the game having an auto button was like low-key. Like, it's one of its best parts, but it's also one of its worst parts. Because when you get to the point where your characters are strong enough to clear all the content on auto, then it's just like, why? Like, you feel stupid for like actually playing it. And then everything in the game just feels like a chore. And it becomes you just playing for the rewards. There's no decision or strategy involved. You're just pressing auto for every fight. And so you're basically just making the decision of, do I want to waste 8 hours of my life for 100 jades? And most people are like, I literally have better things to do.
And I really loved both events. They were for sure very grindy, but also very rewarding, and that's what I enjoyed about them. With the Divergent Universe, it seems they're not making another simulated universe expansion, which is incredibly disappointing. Take a shot every time I say disappointing in this video. Now, the Divergent Universe isn't unfun in and of itself, but after like the first 30 minutes of experiencing it, it just becomes an RNG fest, and even if they did improve the RNG in the last update, it's still just an RNG fest, but with better RNG. Now, Golden Gears and Swarm Disaster may have been very RNG related, but since you could see the hexagon map, you could plan out where you wanted to go and what you wanted to do, and especially with the dice system GNG introduced, which gave birth to many fun strategies which you simply cannot do in the Divergent Universe.
I will agree with you that the hex map wasn't that bad, actually. The hex map did add a layer of strategy where they like let you like hop around and stuff and like teleport to different areas, and that like, you know, if you pick certain that actually, yeah, I can see the take over there. I can see the take when it comes to the hex map. It allowed you to do some unique stuff.
Just pick reward, game, and occurrence domains, and I hope you get lucky. It sucks compared to the old ones, honestly. And now we would talk about how bad the...
It was neat, but took forever, though. True. Yeah, it took a really fucking long time. That is true. And honestly, I feel like if Golden Gears was just, you needed less runs to get all the rewards, and there was like less things to do, that extended playtime with the hex map wouldn't have been a problem if it was just faster to 100%. But the fact that you had to repeat it like 9 million fucking times and go through the hex map at the same time is what I think just killed it for me. It's like one or the other, not both.
Noble domain was, but I really don't want to waste too much breath on it. That sucked. I've never played a worse game mode in my life. This was complete ass. All the characters you pulled for and built don't matter for fucking kids. I hated everything about this mode. Something I also hate everything about is relics. Relics. It feels good when you get a good piece, but then you get over for another 5 months without ever getting another piece. It sucks. Relic systems are only designed to keep you addicted to the game and only designed to keep you playing every single day.
True.
They're not designed for you to have fun. They're not designed...
I actually like relics. Maybe this guy just needs to roll better.
...for your account to be unique to you. Their only purpose is to be predatory and annoying and sink you deeper into the sunk cost fallacy. I hate relic systems. Other than that though, character progression in Star Rail with choice materials and boss materials is pretty damn good. Boss domains and calyxes aren't time-locked, you can usually get a character built in a week or two, and it's really good. I think Star Rail definitely has character progression, aside from the relic system, if you can even call that progression, down to a T. Good job on that one, Star Rail. Finally, we get to talk about endgame and developer handling, which I've talked about a lot before. Star Rail has 3 modes, and while they...
Right. Here's my actual take on the relic system. Relic systems only become a major problem if the baseline investment needed to clear the endgame is extremely high. And so in Honkai Star Rail, they are a massive fucking problem. Because unless you're pulling the newest character, you actually do need close to perfect fucking relics to even attempt any endgame mode with an older unit. However, if you're pulling a newer unit, yeah, you can just put on random shit and they'll do just fine. So yeah, the relic system is only a problem for older units that need perfect substats to do anything. And that's why Wuwa's echoes, in my opinion, are not a problem. Because you can clear Wuwa's endgame with some pretty dog shit fucking echoes. Some pretty really bad echoes, and you can still clear the endgame.
They are different enough from each other to be 3 different modes. They are still basically just a race against time. I personally don't have a big issue with the fact that all just do it as
Relics are fun, progression for your character. I actually think that they are fun and progression for your character. But when you need near perfect relics to clear endgame, that's when it's a problem. Because now it feels like you're being locked off from rewards, locked off from progression in like MOC, Pure Fiction, APOC, without getting giga lucky.
As fast as possible, but I do know players and content creators who would have liked more variety. Unfortunately though, I don't think they're adding any new endgame modes for a very long time. Overall, the handling for the MOC, Apocalyptic Shadow, and Pure Fiction is pretty fine.
Unless you mean simply the structure and not the HP values. I think the structure of them is fine. It's just more so the fact that every mob now has like almost quadruple the amount of HP it had from 1.0. It's probably more than quadruple. It's probably like 12 times as much HP from 1.0.
If you ignore all the HP inflation and new
This photo is beautiful if you ignore the overflowing amount of garbage. Yeah, okay, that's fair. He addressed it.
limited character favoritism. If you are missing a unit that wasn't released since 2 or 3 patches ago, you are f***ed, basically. If you're missing Aglaia, Castoris, Maide, or Herda, and if you also don't have incredibly high investment Facia and Acheron
Remember what I said?
teams, you're pretty f***ed. I must have talked about this 1,000 times, but the only thing they ever seem to do with their endgame content is cater it to the newest characters who also power creep all previous characters.
It's so true, it's unbelievable.
If you're someone who has any favorite unit older than 3.0, and if you're someone who doesn't have a severe gambling addiction they have to remedy with every single new character dropped, or if none of the new characters are very appealing to you, well, you're f***ed in terms of endgame. Even A6 Dan Hangael and A6 Jingliu are worse than Maide and Herda respectively, and it's really pathetic how a game can go this far with power creep and how they handle their endgame content. And honestly, since I spoke about this so much before, I don't really have anything else to say.
It's cooked. It's absolutely cooked. And this is the thing, right? Why make the endgame so inaccessible to anything other than the old units? When by records and like by data, right? The gacha games are casual. Not a lot of people play the endgame. And so by making all of these endgame modes so tailored with HP inflation and new multipliers and power creep, aren't you just like intentionally just fucking over a very small portion of players? Just trying to extract as much spending as possible. It's kind of gross once you think about it. Yeah, there's supposed to not be a lot of people playing the MOC. So why balance it like this?
Especially because this video is already so long.
You wanna know what actually would probably make the MOC okay? Is if all the Jade rewards were unlocked after MOC 9. Like, once you complete MOC 9, the only rewards left are, like, credits and then, like, maybe, like, some other, like, upgrade shit. But up until 9, that's where all the Jades end. And so, if you want more Jades, there's no point in doing 10, 11, or 12. That's probably what they should do if at this point they're just intent on making the game so stupid.
Way more detailed videos about some of the topics in this video, so if you're interested, go check those out. But now, let me summarize my thoughts. Star Rail is a very high quality game. It looks, sounds, and runs very well. It has all the basic foundations for a good game, and has a great early game experience. However, as soon as you enter the mid-game, you start suffering with things like Relics, Divergent Universe, Unknowable Domain, and most likely not enjoy Storm Disaster and Golden Gears, even though I did say I enjoyed them, but most people probably don't. However, you will find guaranteed character progression like Traces pretty satisfying. Once you reach the endgame though, you'll notice how extremely reliant their marketing tactic is on power creep and HP inflation, and how much they don't understand or don't care how to balance character kits. Finally, the story used to be absolutely amazing and now it really f***ing sucks. I don't want anybody telling me, but the story is still really good, when the storytelling is absolute garbage. You can watch the Minecraft movie 6 times before you finish the 3.2 story once.
I feel like Techie said this. Didn't Techie say this? Techie said this, didn't he? Yeah, okay, this guy's a Tech Tone viewer.
I didn't steal that quote from anybody, shut up.
That's a cop moment.
Game story shouldn't be longer than 3 hours, and a good storyteller would give you all the information you need without endless amounts of yap. But that's it. Thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more gacha and game analysis videos in the future. And join the Express Road Discord server for a fun and lovely community to hang out with. And
yeah, I'm gonna be real here. That was a pretty solid vid. I'm going to have to throw him a sub, and I pre-like the video for a fucking reason. Yeah, I mean, there were a couple of, you know, a little like questionable takes here, right? Here and there about like certain parts of like the SU and stuff. But when I heard them out further and I heard out everything he was saying, I mean, honestly, the guy brought the glue. The guy brought the evidence to basically every single thing. He obviously didn't dive too much into the Casterus global passive. And honestly, I can thank him for that because I feel like we have, at this point, the Casterus global passive has been, it is a pinata with no candy left inside. We have fucking bled it dry. And I think that when it comes to every single other issue that he talked about that plagues the game, plagues its exploration, plagues its overall experience compared to the joy and the wonder that we saw in 1.0, I think he really hit the nail on the head when it comes to everything. But yeah, I would say HSR's relic system, 1,000,000% a problem. And the only reason why it's a problem is because you need an absurd amount of investment to even think about clearing the endgame. But I don't want to say that an RNG-based gearing system is like inherently bad. Kind of like, I feel like that's the take he was making, like an RNG-based gearing system is inherently bad. Because if the investment required from your RNG-based gear isn't mandatory to clear the endgame, you don't need super high investment, I don't really see it as a major issue. And that's honestly the case of Wuthering Waves. You can go in with like echo substats that are like not really that good, and you shouldn't have too much of a problem as long as you're willing to put in some more effort into learning your rotations. And the more you invest, the lazier you can play and still get good clears. And so you feel that progression in your gear a lot more and a lot better in Wuwa. So I highly recommend that Musan Caffeine gives that a try. Gives Wuwa a try, gives his take, and I'd be excited to see a review that he comes up with if he ever does do that. So with that, let me know what you all think. Peace.